This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. This is the Fast Break Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Anderson. Alongside me, as always, is Dave Oster.
What's up, what's up?
And Ricky Whitmer sick. So he is not joining us today. We have a great show for you nonetheless. Dave was out. He was working during Ricky and I's, little...
Yeah, I wish I could have been there with you guys.
Fun segments talking about DeMarcus Cousins and Paul George. But we still have, a lot to talk about.
Always tons to talk about.
Still running along. Today we're going to be talking about Carmelo Anthony. The Thunder are planning on trading him or buying him out before the season is over. We'll talk about that. We're going to talk about the Pacers and the moves they've made so far in the offseason and what we think they can do in the Eastern Conference. And finally, we'll wrap it up with some Summer League talk. So we'll talk about all the kids that have been going off in the Summer League, guys we've liked, guys we haven't liked. And we'll talk about that all in one little segment. But before we do that, a little bit of housekeeping. Don't forget to check out mostvaluablepodcast.com so you don't miss any of the segments or full podcasts we put up. Also, since you're there, we have the store button. So if you want to buy an MVP t-shirt, you can do so on our store. Also, we have 29 ratings on iTunes. I just checked. And we have 26 5-stars ratings. If you guys love our podcast, please go give that support over there. It would mean a ton to us. We love everyone who has given us love, either 5 stars or the 3 1-stars. Haters are our motivators, Dave.
Absolutely.
And finally, don't forget to check out patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast. When Ricky and I did it, we also had Jake join us for the LeBron segment where I had to paint my face. So if you want to go check that out, go do so as well. You can be on a podcast on that $10 tier, but we have some fun stuff for a little bit cheaper as well if you want to help us out monetarily. But let's get into the Carmelo Anthony talk. Dave Woj dropped a bomb earlier today saying that the Thunder, I think it was also Royce Young as well of ESPN.
Correct.
Came out and said that the Thunder plan on either trading Carmelo Anthony if an option's available, buying him out outright, or stretching and waiving him. So this isn't majorly shocking. We look at the salary cap situation that the Thunder are currently facing. They're about $310 million on their salary cap. Alleviating Melo's deal would get rid of about 27.9 on his deal, but also I think about $107 million in total. So a clear option for a guy that should probably be coming off the bench at this point in his career, but has an ego of a star. So right now, obviously not too shocking news, but what do you think is the most likely scenario that's going to happen? Do you think a team that is going to want to take on Melo, or do you think they're most likely going to buy him out or stretch him waive him?
I feel like the buyout is the easiest option just because I can't see Sam Presti giving away draft picks to move Carmelo Anthony. He just doesn't seem like the guy who would do it. And I don't know any team that would be happy to take on Carmelo Anthony, even if they're just going to take him to buy him out. Like, no one without a draft pick is going to do that. You have to attach some sort of value to that terrible contract because no team actually wants him for, $27 million. It's just a ridiculous number. I think the buyout makes the most sense. It clears off your books after this year. The stretch would be great if you were concerned with money. Right now, the Thunder aren't. Like, let's be fair, they have a super rich owner who gave them a blank check. He's like, do what you gotta do. I want a competitive team. So on that front, yes, he's not a $107 million player, but $40 million or $27 million to go away for the season versus stretch over 2 seasons. Smart move because next year you can go out and you can pay somebody some more money.
Yeah, and well, the other thing too is that he has a no trade clause still. So even if you do figure out trades, Melo has to still approve it. So even if you get him a trade going to, let's say, the Bulls or the Sacramento Kings, teams that have...
Wouldn't he love to go play for those teams?
Teams that have salary cap, he's most likely not going to want to go play for those teams because they're not going to be in the championship hunt unless those teams agree to then buy him out. So it's a tough situation, and again, it's looking like the easiest thing would be to stretch and waive him. And going back to at least the Paul George segment that Ricky and I did, people are upset that I kept saying, they'll have the ability to move when make moves once Carmelo's off. But the thing with Carmelo, and people were like, they have the largest salary cap in the NBA. I wasn't denying that they didn't, but the thing is that Melo's contract was basically unmovable unless you found a suitor like this, or you were going to stretch and waive him. And there was still some negatives to stretching and waiving him because you're still going to be paying a ton in luxury cap because all that money that is going to be waived is going to be paid in the luxury tax. It's not going to be paid to your salary. And still, I believe, even if they waive Melo, you're still going to be over the luxury tax and you still have to sign 2 more players. You have the ability to sign 2 more players. So it's still going to be tough for the Thunder to maneuver, but you have easier contracts to move on that OKC team to help out Russ and PG because those 2 guys are now your pillars of that team, and you're going to have to move guys around them with much more expensive contracts. And those guys are much more easier to move than Carmelo because, again, that was a $27 million price tag for a guy that isn't really giving too much to your team. So now with this off the Thunder's chest, they have the ability to breathe with Melo away. Once Melo is stretched and waived, what teams do you think will be looking at him, and which teams do you think are the best fits for him?
I think there's something to be said about joining a winner at this point. He could just pull a boogie and straight up join for MLE with one of the top teams.
Mm-hmm. Especially if he's getting stretched out. I mean, he's going to still be getting that money.
Yeah, he's getting his money one way or the other. So why does he care? He could go sign for the MLE for the Rockets, the Warriors. Honestly, I think one of the ones that people are overlooking would be maybe the Trailblazers would be a really interesting fit for him. They get a wing out of it who can score. Comes in, and I think that could almost be a momentum saver. And I know a lot of people are super negative on Carmelo. I think he'll have a bounce back year. But if you believe he's the locker room cancer that he could be, or doesn't deserve the starting role, then maybe Trailblazers isn't for you. But you look at the top couple teams in the West, because that's what he's familiar with. That's where I feel like he would be at home at. The weird thing is when you start going down further into these lower teams, obviously the Lakers, everybody wants to put everyone on the Lakers right now because of LeBron James. Do you see him fitting on the Lakers?
No, I don't see. I mean, that's the thing is he's going to need to be in the starting lineup.
He feels like an old man Kuzma.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing is you're going to be taking away time from Kuzma. You're going to be taking time from BI.
Yep.
I know that him and LeBron are boys and everything, but again, I don't know if LeBron wants his boys there or at least, Melo there because it's going to hurt the team.
Right.
I don't know what teams Melo really helps now, and I don't think the Lakers are one of them just because of the youth on that team. And I know they've been bringing in more veterans. They brought in JaVale, they brought in Rondo, they brought in Lance.
Yeah, very great locker room guys.
And they need more shooting on that team around LeBron. But
they got speed, that's all they need.
Adding Melo in there, it's going to be much more tumultuous.
It'll be complicated.
And then you have guys like Lance, like JaVale, like Rondo, who's going to need time. You're going to add Melo onto that, and then the starting five that was just there that are still decent players and still young guys like Zubac's still going to need time. Mo Wagner, who you just drafted, obviously LeBron, Kuzma, Bi, Josh Hart, and Lonzo.
Yep.
So unless a deal's happening where you're getting rid of some of those young guys for a Kawhi, I don't see Melo fitting on this Laker team at all.
I
think it'd be horrible for the Lakers to do that. I know teams, people brought it up,
yep.
but it'd be a bad move.
That's why I want to get this out of the way right off the bat.
Yeah, so, and I think the one team that you did bring up that was interesting was Portland. Because they brought in a lot of guards. We see the signing of Seth Curry. Obviously, Lance and Dame are still there. Not Lance? CJ and Dame, I'm sorry. CJ and Dame are still there, and I think they even drafted a guard as well.
They drafted did two guards.
Anthony.
Yeah.
They drafted Anthony. I think they even brought in another guard as well. So they're really boasting that front court. So they still need that three help because I think they still have Evan Turner's contract, which is big yikes. But again, getting a starting three to solidify them would be good. And Blazers Edge, the fan-sided website, talked about how the Blazers could use their MLE. They threw out names like Vince Carter, threw out names like Gerald Green, Anthony Morrow, Matt Barnes. But Melo's an upgrade to all of those guys.
Absolutely.
And he's going to be an instant boost to your team. But in Portland, how much will his ego be affected? Because, again, he'll probably be a starter on that team.
Oh, 100%.
But how valuable is Melo? Because you saw him last year. He was slow. He hit the most amount of threes, but that's because that's pretty much all he was doing. He showed a little bit of athleticism. He was throwing out a couple dunks, but nothing too spectacular. I feel like Melo needs a clean slate. Maybe Portland would do that, but he's still not going to be getting a ton of touches because Dame and CJ are still electric out there on the floor. So I think a team that he probably would be nice on, or at least a team that he might be a good fit for him, is a team that moves the ball a lot, a team that really gets a lot of people going in the action. And I haven't looked at Utah's, at least, cap space right now or MLE right now.
Yeah.
But a team like Utah, where they're moving the ball around a lot, would be very interesting because they need some veteran presence. They need someone to hit shots on the outside. And a team like Phoenix, who is kind of bringing in that ball movement style, they're too young to bring in a guy like that. Trev Ariza is a perfect signing for them.
Absolutely.
And they already have so many threes. I think something like Utah, not saying Utah exactly, but a team where it's going to be more about the team and rather than players because, again, you have Dame and CJ who need their touches unless one of those guys get moved. Where Utah, they don't really have a go-to scorer, even though Donovan Mitchell was fantastic in that.
He's their go-to scorer. Just leave it.
Yeah, but even then, outside of Don Mitch, who is that guy to go to? Melo could be that guy, especially in like a team atmosphere.
I mean, you frickin' moron. It's Joe Ingles. That's who's out there. That's who's their secondary scorer. It would be an interesting fit putting him in Utah. I don't like it purely because I'm not sure if he fits in with their group of guys and the locker room questions.
Yeah.
Like, that's no offense, but like him and Quinn Snyder together, I don't know if he lasts a year.
But maybe he needs a guy like Quinn Snyder. Maybe he needs a guy to get in his face and yell at him. Like when was the last time Melo had someone that was like really just in his... Billy Donovan's not that guy.
Say, no.
I mean, like, he hasn't had anyone tell him no. And now he's being bought out. Maybe it'll be a wake-up call to go to Utah, of all places. Pretty much start off, in that area. Start off where you started your career in that, western, western state areas.
The problem is his girl going to want to live in Utah? Like, remember,
are they still together?
He literally went to New York and stayed in New York because of her.
But are they still together?
I don't know.
I thought they were getting divorced. It doesn't matter.
Don't they have a kid? Like,
yeah, but whatever. I mean, I don't
made one life decision for him.
I don't think, but if we're talking about just teams that fit him, not where he's going to end up going.
Okay.
I think Utah would be an interesting fit him if they can figure out the whole, cap situation.
Fair. For me, I think the one outside shot, and I'm looking at the East actually, is I'm thinking the Wizards go full in. Like, why not? You already are adding Dwight Howard to this team. That became official today. I know it'd been like, yes, this is a thing, but officially signed today, which is awesome. I think adding him to that team gives them a crazy amount of potential because you already have a great 1-2 with Beal and Wall, or Wall and Beal, whatever order. I didn't mean it that way, but you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. Otto Porter, incredibly efficient wing. And then you got Oubre for depth. You've got, I think... Satoransky, plus I forgot who the other signee was at point guard.
They brought in Rivers.
Oh, Austin Rivers at shooting guard, yeah.
They traded Rivers for Coach.
I think that adding Carmelo on that team, like, the East is wide open. It's the Celtics and then up for grabs. So if you add Carmelo Anthony to that team...
But talk about the personalities there.
Oh, my God.
No floor general out there because Scott Brooks is horrible. So, I mean, you're talking about John Wall, who's one of the biggest personalities, at least with the point guard.
Correct.
I mean, obviously, him and Gortat were getting into beefs. Yep. Now, we don't know how him and Dwight will work, but I highly doubt they're going to work because Dwight can't set screens anymore. He just lazily sets screens now, and that's really what John Wall needs is more screens to get open. Him and Bradley Beal, John Wall and Bradley Beal, aren't the best of friends.
Two alphas.
Two alphas trying to fight with each other, and then you're getting a third alpha in Carmelo. Like, that is an all-star team, but, like, all of them need to be number one guys.
That's why it's perfect. You've got four number ones.
I think it's horrible.
No.
I think you're putting dynamite just with dynamite right there.
And you got Austin Rivers who thinks he's a number one.
You're just going to cause a bigger explosion.
No, I think it's like Three Stooges syndrome, man. They all go for the number one, and they all just match them perfectly. Like, this is a situation where any given night, one of these guys could go off and win you a game. Mm-hmm. That's what you need in the East. You need the ability to win games purely off of talent because LeBron left. LeBron was that I'm going to win because I'm better than everyone. So the East is up for grabs now with just Kyrie, Hayward, and a roster of Wangs in Boston.
But with that, I mean, let's look at the top teams in the East. Yeah. The top three teams are very team-oriented. Trust the process in Philly. We look at Boston, one of the best teams in the NBA, right behind Golden State, at least when we're talking about a team mentality. Probably, and we look at Toronto. Toronto, you can't sleep on Toronto. They got rid of Dwayne Casey, but you talk about Nick Nurse. Yeah. And Nick Nurse might be even better for this team because he pretty much brought that revolution that we saw in early Toronto of shooting more threes, spacing out the floor.
He reworked their entire offense in a season.
And he did a great job, so maybe even then we're going to see more of a team in Toronto. So we look at those top three teams. I think putting that into the Wizards mentality, and we'll talk about the Pacers too, I think are doing a great job.
They're up and coming.
I think putting that with the Wizards, it might be too much going in there.
I'm putting the fire on. I just want to put all in there.
I think it would be very dangerous there. But
at the same time, could you not see the potential for them to walk away as a 1 seed going into the playoffs? That roster?
No, Boston. Even if they sign Melo, I would favor Boston even more. That's the thing is, I get the talent is there, but even then, I don't know how much talent Melo even has anymore because he's slow. He doesn't care that much, and he still has that mentality of him being a star. He needs a wake up call. And I think going to Washington D.C., where he's going to be around more alphas, is just going to exuberate that alpha mentality. So or if he goes to a place like just using Utah again, who does have their mid-level exception according to what's this website, SpotRack.
Yep.
According to SpotRack, they still have 8.6 left in their non-taxpayer MLE. So they still have, I think, the ability to use that on Melo if he's willing to accept that. I think going out to a place like Utah, where, again, it's very team-oriented, they have a very strong head coach who is strong-willed, having a young star in Donovan Mitchell, who he will be able to at least coach and teach. Then you also have at least Rudy Gobert, who's a very strong guy in the middle, obviously Defensive Player of the Year, or at least a candidate. Same with Derek Favors, a guy who kind of changed his whole career as well, because in New Jersey really wasn't that big of a guy. Like, he was a high pick, had kind of an attitude, then was going out to Utah, kind of revamped his career. We look at Ricky Rubio as well. I think that might be a very nice fit for him, because if he goes to Miami and plays with his buddy D Wade, then it's just feeding the ego. If he goes and plays with James Harden and Chris Paul, he's just feeding the ego. If he goes and plays with Bron, he's just feeding that ego again. So I think he needs to go to a place that's going to humble him a little bit, but still be in playoff contention.
So Golden State.
So Golden State, he's going to be the sixth man. It's going to be Iggy. It's going to be... Well, that's the thing. Is he even going to come off the bench for Golden State?
He would.
But would he want to?
I think
that's the thing. Is I don't know.
You said humble. I don't think he starts over any of those guys.
No, he doesn't. I would take Andre Iguodala over Carmelo Anthony right now.
Blasphemy.
But that's the thing.
No,
is
you're not wrong.
He's not starting on that Warriors team.
I know.
So I don't think he even thinks about signing with Golden State. And I don't think
do you think he values being a starter more than anything else? Is that his number one thing? Is just I'm going to be a starter somewhere. Melo still thinks
he's Melo. Melo still thinks he is a star.
So do you think that playoffs are even necessary? Like, do you think you go to a non-playoff team then?
No, I still think he wants to go.
Okay, so starter plus playoff.
Yeah, he's still in that 34 age range where he still wants a ring. He still thinks he's a star and can help a playoff team win. He still thinks that he could be a part of a big three.
Okay.
I think that is still Melo's mentality. If any Melo stands are out there that really want to back this up.
They're still out there?
Maybe. But I don't think he can be a part of a big three anymore. That's why I think Utah, it's not really a big three out there. It's the Utah Jazz. Where we look at Indiana, obviously they have a star in Oladipo. Utah has a star in Donovan Mitchell. But it's about the team. It's about Indiana, like Toronto. It's not about DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry. It's about the Raptors. He needs to go to one of these types of teams that are in the playoffs, but it's more about the team. Like with the Wizards, it's about John Wall and Bradley Beal. That's why I think that would be very dangerous. With the Heat, maybe that would work because the Heat are a team out there.
Yeah.
But being with D Wade, we saw D Wade and LeBron last year in Cleveland not really work out. I mean, he was moved because it just wasn't fitting.
He was missing home, and he didn't feel comfortable in their offense.
He wasn't getting along with the young guys. So then again, I think if Melo goes in there and he's buddying up with his boy D Wade, that might cause a rift in the locker room again, which I don't think Pat Riley wants.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm worried about all these teams that are interested, like the Rockets. I think that would throw in a wrench into their system as well, because their whole idea of offense is running and being fast, and Melo is none of those things. He's not conditioned.
I got the perfect team for you then. The Timberwolves.
No.
Drop them at the 4, the Timberwolves.
No.
That's what that team needs.
No. Hell no. So you're talking about Jimmy Butler being upset about a lackadaisical Karl Anthony Towns, so now you're getting a lackadaisical old man. So now you're dealing with Cat and Melo, who are just 10 years apart, like age-wise, that are both lackadaisical and don't care about defense. That's exactly what you do not need in Minnesota. I don't care if you're trying to get a rile. It's stupid to throw out there, Dave. It's a bad idea. Hell no. That'd be garbage.
That's my boy Ricky.
To see Minnesota pick up Carmelo Anthony Towns. I said Carmelo Anthony Towns.
What a horrible human being that would be.
What do you think about the Rockets fit, though? Because I think it's dangerous. Because having CP3, having Harden, I think he would want to be a part of that big three. I think that would be dangerous.
That's the obvious one, staring everybody in the face. Because they lost Trevor Ariza. He can fill in the minutes. Obviously, he doesn't come anywhere close as far as what Trevor Ariza did on defense, because Ariza was amazing. Yeah, I know he couldn't knock down a shot when they needed him to late in the series, but he was dog-tired by that time. He was literally just playing 48 minutes of defense on KD and every switch anybody on him. I give him so much credit for that. I think that Melo, that's the easiest one. That's one staring everybody in the face. We all talked about it last year. We're like, oh, look at how they're all going to group up. Team Banana Boat's going to reunite. We're going to Houston. I think it's the one that makes the most sense. The problem is the way that would work out best for everybody is if you could work out a trade for Ryan Anderson.
Yeah.
You move Anderson's contract, you move Melo's contract. There was even one out there tossing out freaking Kevin Love just because the Cavs felt lonely. Like, those two contracts though, Ryan Anderson and Carmelo Anthony. I think Anderson's at $20 million right now.
Yeah, $20.4 million this year, and then he's got $21.2 next year.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's not really helping out.
No, but you could find a third team. Like you could do a 3-team trade to move Anderson because no one wants that contract. And we watched what happened when the Rockets tried to put him on the floor. Like, he was -10 in like 2 minutes. Mm-hmm. Like, he just can't play playoff basketball. Regular season, fine. He can drop threes. He can space. We're fine.
Melo play playoff basketball? Because he wasn't good last year in the playoffs.
The general media, I feel like over.
Why are you calling me guys? I'm on the same podcast as you.
Yeah, but like you were talking shit about him, and that's. I feel like I should be standing up for Melo. Like, I feel like Melo still has basketball to play. Was he motivated to play in OKC? Not really. Did anyone seem to fit in at OKC? Not really. Were they running a shitty offense with one of the most selfish players in the league? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let me tell you this. All right. So the first 4 games he played over 30 minutes, and then the last 2 games he played 25 and 25. They couldn't play him. He was not good at all. And then
25 is a lot of minutes. Compared
to what he was as a starter,
no, I know.
37, 37, 31, 36.
I understand.
They cut his minutes significantly.
Yes, they did.
And then you also look at 4 of the 6 games, he was negative. -20, -18, -6, -19. And then in the 2 games they won, outside of the game that he played, the game 6 where he only played 25 minutes, you look at the 2 games that they won, he shot 6 times in the winning game 5, the one they won by 8 points, and then game 1, he shot 13 times, and they won by 8. The other times, he shot 18, 10, 18. So when he was taking a large amount of shots, they were losing.
Yeah, no, I think that
Melo
he is
was not helping that team.
I think between like 7 and 12 shots a game is where you want Melo at. You don't want to give him free reign to just chuck up the ball, but because you'd have 2 great point guards on that Rockets team, you have the ball control, you have the ball movement, you have everything. You have a great coach. You have a very motivated team who's out there playing with a great mix of veterans and some young kids who are outperforming their expectations. Like, I feel like that is the best place that he can succeed and that they can best utilize his talent, because ISO Joe experiment last year, not worth it. I get it. It was a dirt cheap contract. Not worth it, though. Like, he didn't fit. Melo walks in and fits in like there's no problem. Their defense gets worse.
Well, we said that last year when he joined the Thunder, and we didn't see how bad he was going to be. I just don't think that Melo going to the Rockets is going to help the Rockets' problem, and I don't think it's going to help Melo's problem. Because, looking at Melo, he's going to need to be quick, he's going to need to be going up the floor, and he's going to need to find himself open. And he wasn't really able to do that
But he'll be there
with
his buddy now. That's the difference, is him playing with CP3, game ball movement. The other difference is he's not a spot-up shooter, and that's what OKC turned him into.
Yeah.
Him and Paul George, both of them got turned to spot-up shooters, and we saw both of them do worse because of it.
Melo is still fairly efficient shooting the ball. He took about six threes last year, about 35%.
Right. He wasn't bad
from the year before.
But when you watch Melo dominate, and I know he's far removed from the days of dominating, when you watch him dominate, it was ball in hand, creating for himself. He is one of those dinosaurs of the NBA who was all about the ISO game. Like, Melo on one side of the court, 4 dudes standing on the other. I got this. I'm gonna back him down. I'm gonna work my game, and I'm going to score on him. Like, that's how he won all the games he did. Yeah, I know playoff success never happened, but point aside, him being a spot-up shooter was him being used improperly. Yeah. I know it was their offensive scheme to do that, but I don't give a fuck. It was wrong, and you clearly got the results you paid for. So him over on the Rockets, where there's a lot of movement off ball, a lot of movement with ball, guys other than James Harden and Chris Paul even taking multiple dribbles with it. Like, I think that is how you are set to succeed with someone as offensively minded as Mike D'Antoni, who can use him correctly. I think that is just like, do this. Please do this. It's the right move, but don't pay for him if you don't have to. Ryan Anderson move if you can. If not, MLE, come on over.
I'm still looking at this Utah Jazz fit, and I think it's something that could be decent. Because just looking at the way that their offense ran, it was, at least when Don Mitch was holding the ball, it was strictly him. Well, not strictly, but majority was him and Rudy Gobert running high pick sets.
Yeah.
I think that could be still working with Melo. If Melo's still running screens off ball, then coming to the left side, Rubio passes it to Melo, then he gets a high screen from Rudy Gobert. He's going to be working in that offense that he likes. He's going to be able to create for himself.
Right.
And Melo can still do that. Melo can still cross over, drive in, and pull up from 2 feet in. He doesn't have to be strictly that 3-point shooter, but he can be that 3-point shooter. So if they want to put him in that Jingles at least fit and put him in the corner, he can still be fairly effective. And they don't need to make him exactly that role. And they still do have the cap space. And I think, again, taking him out of that, you're going to be a star, you're going to be a part of the big three, because if he joins and Capella's not there, he's the big three. It's James Harden, CP3, and it's Melo. Those are going to be seen as the guys on that Houston team. And I don't think that helps them beat Golden State. And I think that's Houston's idea, is to beat Golden State. I don't think that happens. I don't think adding Melo helps that team. Where, again, Utah, you see, obviously, Gobert is a great player. You see Donovan Mitchell is a great player. Jingles was fantastic. Rubio was fantastic.
Yeah, they all had a great year.
Favors, was fine. He was still a little bit injured. So it wasn't.
And they just added the GOAT and Grayson Allen.
Yeah, they added Grayson Allen. Jay Crowder had a revitalization. I mean, he was better with the Jazz than he was with the Cavs. Exum was fine when he was healthy.
Yeah,
Burks was fine
like
too. So I think adding a guy that can be a shooter on the outside like Melo, and then a guy that can also work kind of in that Donovan Mitchell role, but just in a bigger sense because he's bigger. 6'8" compared to 6'3" or 6'4", whatever Don Mitch is.
Right.
I think it could be pretty effective and work for Melo because, again, you're out of that spotlight. You're out of the Houston, Golden State, OKC spotlight.
True.
And you're in just a team idea. And I think having a guy like Quinn Snyder who will bark at you and make sure you fit into this team might help Melo rather than D'Antoni, where it's, all right, we're going to play whatever we want. We're going to take 27 threes, even though it's not working.
But do you think that Melo is a +3 win, +5 win kind of guy to that team? Do you think he adds that sort of value? Because
Utah?
Yeah.
I think he could be. I mean, if he's used the right way and he buys in. The biggest thing is about him buying in. If Melo buys in, then I think he can be a fine player. But that's a big if from what we've seen so far from Melo.
You have to find the right motivators.
And that's why when we go to D'Antoni's trying to fit everything into a system, and his system needs to work. That's how they're going to win. And that seems like very Melo mentality, where I am Melo, I'm going to do the same things that I've been doing since I was coming into the league in 2003, because I'm Melo, I'm a star, I'm going to do. They're going to stick to their guns, and I don't think D'Antoni's going to help him do that. Quinn Snyder is going to throw him into the fire. He's going to make him uncomfortable, and he's going to make him play Utah Jazz basketball. I don't know why I'm so fucking in on this Utah Jazz thing.
Really,
but I'm trying to think of a team like Utah, and Utah is really the only one that I'm really getting excited for, because I think adding another dangerous scorer like that could really help this team.
Yeah.
So
no, they needed more scoring. There's no denying that at this point in time. Like, if they had more scoring, incredibly dangerous team. But I mean, you look at that, the West is so close in the playoffs where it was 47 wins to get in last year. I think this year it's going to go up. I think this year we're going to see 49 is the cap. Mm-hmm. So when I talk about adding wins to a team, I'm like, you guys were already incredibly close to not making it to the playoffs last year.
Well, they need that big run too.
That's the thing. So, I mean, you look at that and you go, okay, we're going to add Melo, who has potential to tank a team.
Yeah.
So are you okay with that risk-reward? Because you're in year 2 of Donovan Mitchell.
But one thing with Utah, they also didn't have Gobert for a decent chunk.
Yeah.
So, and that was Donovan Mitchell's first year. So you assume he's going to get better.
Yep.
So I think...
But do you want to invite that potential cancer around Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert,
I think the thing with that is just looking at this Jazz team, I think that this team is for sure locked into a playoff spot. I think they're more secure than the Trailblazers. I think they're more secure than the Pelicans. I think they're more secure than the Spurs with the whole Kawhi thing. I don't think they're more secure than the Thunder.
Okay, that was what I was going to ask you.
You still have PG-13.
That's a team that beat you.
Yeah. Well, that's the team.
Yeah, you beat.
Yeah,
as the Thunder talking. Yeah.
But with the Thunder, I think they're more secure just because, the Thunder was a team that hit their stride late in the season, and I think they're going to get better with Melo off their team.
They hit their stride. I don't know if they ever hit their stride.
Well, they were never consistent.
Yeah, they started off good, and then
they were
went
really
cold.
good against the Warriors and Rockets.
Yep.
They played down to lesser opponents. I think that might change this year, and I think they'll be more. They might finish with 48 wins still, but I think that's a team that will just at least be in there. I think the Rockets, Warriors, and Thunder will still be in there. The Timberwolves, though, we look at the whole Jimmy Butler-Cat situation. It's a mess right now. So really, I think the Jazz are fairly locked into a playoff spot. But let's wrap this up.
Sure.
What do you think are the top 3 landing spots for Carmelo, either fit-wise or the most likely ones?
I think Rockets, Lakers, and...
So we shit on the Lakers, but you throw them in it too.
Yeah, I do. I think Rockets, Lakers, and Trailblazers. I think you stay West. I think he knows the competition out there. there's something weird about Carmelo where I feel like he's always been trying to prove himself against LeBron. Ever since they came in the league, there was that dynamic of them, they went 1-3 in the draft, 1-4, whatever. It was 1-3, I think. And they were always just like being pitted against each other. It was pretty clear early on that like Carmelo was a better scorer, LeBron was a better player, and we watched LeBron succeed in the playoffs, and Carmelo never did.
Yeah.
So I feel like Carmelo's
Melo
always
got to go to New York,
big market man, and
LeBron obviously now getting to go to LA.
Yeah. So I feel like there's always some sort of tension between the two guys, and I think that him going to LA would kind of like be like, we can do this together. We can reunite and do this together. It'd be pretty cool. And then my last one, Trailblazers, because I think that fit would actually salvage. People are trying to jump ship on the Trailblazers team and say, like, sell on Dame, sell on CJ, rebuild the team already because all your bad contracts. No, you go heavier into it. You pick up Melo on MLE, and you go, we're going to go in the playoffs with 3 guys who can score 20 points a night.
If there's a team in the East that signs him, who do you think it is? That brings him in and tries to fit him in.
Tries to fit him in?
Yeah.
I think the Wizards is just hilarious. Like, that's not truthful as far as where he should go in the East, but, like, the Wizards is the funniest thing for me. I think that team would be just the biggest, like, sports news mecca at that point, just because of all the drama coming out of there.
I think the team most likely to sign him would be Houston. It just seems like that was a fit before he was traded to OKC. It's most likely going to be the fit. I'm not that big of a fan of it. Second, I would put the Jazz. I think it'd be smart for him. And then third, I'm going to go away from the Lakers. I'm going to go away from the Trailblazers. I'm going to say the Miami because I think maybe he'll be attracted to D-Wade. It's more likely than LA in my mind.
And they're like a quiet team that's going to make the playoffs, probably.
Well, for sure. In the East, I mean, that's a team that's, again, they don't have a star. I mean, their best player is Goran Dragic. And he's been fine, but he's not a star in any right.
No, they have no stars. That's fair.
But they're still a very well-coached team. They have scorers in many different places. I think that's a team that's definitely going to be in the playoffs next year, especially if the Cavs fall out with LeBron going. You look at the Wizards and Bucks; they'll probably take a rise, but there's no team really. I don't think the Pistons are going to take that big of a jump. I don't think the Hornets are going to take that big of a jump. Knicks, Nets, Bulls, Magic, Hawks, either. So I think the Heat's,
the bottom is going to be pretty close to the bottom.
The Heat's lock in the playoffs is for sure. We went a little bit too over on the camera, so
you're seeing the logo right now. Utah Jazz.
I like the Jazz. They're fun. They got nice unis.
That's true. Actually, those unis are sick.
A big fan of the Jazz, but let us know what you think about Carmelo going to any team. What team do you think he's going to go? Down in the comments below.